we're the biggest minority, but there's none of them represented in football.
If you can combine that, say if they've got a passion for sport in football, let's say, you can be a doctor.
The numbers are actually improving. So to actually shout about, okay, there is an improvement and this is how you can get behind that. I went to a really interesting talk actually called South Asian Pathways into Professional Football.
Go on.
It was actually held at the Emirates, and it was, I think the event was by PFA and by Arsenal, and that's where it was really good because that's where I heard more about the AIMS scheme. And what it was it was a panel event of all different jobs and professions you can get in the football industry.
Yeah.
So I think, well, we actually opened up with Vinay Venkatesh, who was an old Arsenal CEO, who's obviously of Indian descent. So that was really good because already seeing him at one of the major clubs in the world and a CEO, so South Asian football, but maybe it may not be on the pitch, but we're helping representation on the pitch, off the pitch. We're helping representation off the pitch, which is key. But also, it was for the first time where I went to an event and I saw all the players were there from their respective academies. That was so good to see them live in a room, to see how many of them there were, rather than just seeing posts here, there on Instagram or socials. But the second is actually seeing how many trailblazers there were working in the football industry, whether they were
as footballers,
footballers though. So working still in the industry off the pitch. For example, there was a lawyer there who worked for Brentford. There was several nutritionists, several physios, several sports scientists from Sheffield United, Aston Villa. Nav Singh from Arsenal was there. So all these other professions that need to have a light shined on them was really important to see. And this panel event was obviously really informative because they talked about how they obviously got into their career, what steps they had taken to get to this level, to work at a football club.
And I thought that like a good event.
No, it was a really, really good event because it showed the progress. And it also showed how we're coming together as a community. And these guys had probably taken their time out of their workday to then go and inspire people at the talk, for example.
And that's a much more easy message for our communities to handle, because, as you said, there's so many people who want their children to go down these traditional routes in life. And if you can combine that, say if they've got a passion for sport in football, let's say, but any sport, and you can be a doctor that specializes in sport.
In cardiology, for example. So any medical that footballers need.
You can, that's perfect, because that's a combination of something that could be a good extracurricular activity, which is good for the kid, but also a career that's already there, should that not happen, basically. I think that's a message that will probably go down a lot better in our communities, for sure. So
yeah, because we should
push that.
That was good, because it is like the happy medium, as you say, between a traditional career that your parents may want you to go down, which is obviously being a doctor, being a lawyer, but you can actually have these roles within football clubs rather than big corporates. So if you ever do want to pursue those, and you think that's a great option to be like, I'm really interested in football, for example. And this could happen in any sports organisation, really, in cricket, in rugby, and hockey.
For sure,
But speaking of football right now, then you could always actually have a profession in there, just off the pitch. So I think that was a really good event because it was an eye-opener. And it was really good to see everyone together, helping each other, and also just sharing knowledge of how they did what they did. And it was great to obviously see all the scholars there, because you saw them all in their academy kits, and you go, that's for the first time where you actually, rather than, as I said, you just see them on socials, you actually see them all together going, oh wow, like this is a real proper mentor in the scheme.
Yeah.
I think it's in its third, I think I went last year, so it was in its third year out of 5 years. And you can see that it is actually moving the needle. And the South Asian, British South Asian representation in football is getting better, which is always good to see.
For sure, man. Look, and this links so nicely with what we spoke about last episode about like football culture being important. It's not just important for the countries themselves, the South Asian countries, which it is, and we spoke about that. But it's important to have it in the cultures for everyone of that culture, or everyone from that background, everywhere in the world, right? We're everywhere in the world. So like having that is so important within families and communities for multiple reasons, like as we mentioned already, the value that it brings to your life, like, you know, you're a more well-rounded person, but also to like kind of change that branding that we spoke about earlier. Like, I want us to be in a place where we can have people that look like us, or, you know, have had similar backgrounds to us, to have made it to the top of like football or other sports that we're not there. But football, most importantly, just because it's the most popular sport in the world.
But that's key, and that's exactly what I was watching an interview on Sky Sports, and that's exactly what Riz Rahman and the mentors actually said when they sat down, is that they actually wanted not only, of course, the stats and everything to change, but they wanted firstly to change the narrative around British South Asians in football.
Yeah.
So instead of being such a question of why is there a lack of, like, there's so many, we're the biggest minority, but there's none of them represented in football, to stop having that question, which is key to ask the barriers, because we need to understand them, but actually to turn it into a positive question, to be like, okay,
what do we do now?
What are we doing? What's the solution? How are we improving it? And then the numbers are actually improving. So to actually shout about, okay, there is an improvement, and this is how you can get behind us, rather than just being like, there's a lack, there's a lack, there's a lack, which I think, firstly, that was key. But I also think, I just think it's important to realise that. And then the second thing it's key is to also identify that there are a lot of kids playing, but maybe look into what age they get in. Do they need to be more grassroots? Are there a lot of kids playing in the playground, which is great, but are they not getting to Sunday league clubs or good Sunday league clubs? That may be the next thing to, and also that comes from just mainly, as we said, just education.
Yeah.
Education to, obviously, my parents, whose parents before did not do anything with sport, to then say, look, how can we educate the parents to say that this sports is a good thing, sports is an extracurricular?